go for boards.
Hi.
Thought they would do very well. All right, people, we've got note takers.
Oh man.
So, ladies, I'd like to introduce, and I love his name, Merlin, the magician, the magic man. So Merlin is our wonderful guest speaker for today, and we just met.
Literally last week.
Drug dealing. No.
Medicine purveying.
Medicine, yeah.
Purveying.
So listen, I know that each one of you have lots of questions, so ask as many questions as possible. This is a dedication to what we do as yogis and celebrating the world as it unfolds in the fluidity of it. And since we've met, this has been a journey of mine, and as well as in our connection, I thought how perfect, what a great time for all of us to come together and explore what it is to be in our sovereignty, our truth. And with a lot of discussions about the medicines that are out there, I feel that a lot of people do not have the support. And ironically, when we met for a treatment, it was incredible bliss. Fluidity happens because there is this great company that Merlin does work with, and it's all about the psychedelics and the medicine and bringing it together, so packaged beautifully so humans, us beings, can practice this knowing we are safe and we are loved and that we are supported. And that's what this is about. Okay, so I'm giving it all to you. Woohoo! Thanks, Mark. And that is your real name.
Yes.
I told my spouse that. He didn't believe me.
Well, somebody has to come up with a cool name. But I was a huge fan of Excalibur when I was young. Wow, I still am. So thank you so much for having me all here. I'm so excited. Wow. Well, I guess I should probably start with what Cerro stands for. So our company started back in 2019, so it's only been about a year and a half. And essentially, it started with just a group of individuals who healed with the medicine. I know this day and age, there's this huge stigma about drugs. And I'm safely saying when we were all young, we all did drugs in the most recreational way. But when you change the vibration of the word, the value of the word changes. And when you use it with intention in a ritual, sacred way, it's a medicine. So anything can be a medicine because your intention now is the energy flows where intention goes. So me personally, of course, I've done a bunch of drugs when I was young. But growing up in my early 20s, then I shifted things and realized that these drugs became allies. And you're having just more consciousness about your surroundings, more awareness, more mindfulness. So my personal journey of healing with these medicines being MDMA, LSD or mushrooms and many other things have been just actually to heal personal childhood traumas. I come from a family of immigrant survivors who moved from Vietnam, leaving the country because of the war, and we were both people. And of course, as survivors, we endured a lot of personal traumas collectively and also individually. And so eventually these medicines assisted me in healing. To dive maybe a little bit deeper, when I was a kid, I was molested for a few years by a sibling, and then studied psychology and really took the time to choose to not be a victim and to take ownership of my experience. And basically now reverse engineer, why is this happening to me? And through the medicines, I was able to discover that, of course, this sibling clearly, obviously did it to me because someone must have done it to her. And so I did my detective research and basically went all the way up to the roots to discover that another sibling had basically done it to her, and then an uncle had done it to him. And through the medicine, we all heal together, doing the medicine either individually, but also collectively. and we were able to talk about it freely without feeling any shame or any guilt, and understanding that it wasn't our fault. You know, we were just programmed, inserted a program, and we didn't know any better. So that is my personal journey, at least one chapter of my personal journey with healing with these modality, this medicine. As for my beautiful family colleagues at Cerro, and Cerro stands for serotonin, which is a chemical produced when you're like feeling happy, that's serotonin. When you're having intimacy, that's serotonin. So serotonin plays a huge part in when you're consuming MDMA, acid, LSD, or mushrooms. And every single person that is working in the company has healed in one shape or form from these medicines. So we banded together to create something of a heart-centered company. We're like, we don't want to be any cannabis company that's just selling, you know, just to sell to make money. But we also don't want to be any mushroom company that is just selling to be capitalistic and making money about kids tripping and whatnot. We don't want to be Super Mario Brothers. You know, this I walked into a store and I found this. It's a gram of mushroom in a chocolate form with obviously Super Mario. I mean, it's cute, it's beautiful, but clearly the intention, you can tell, is geared towards like a teenage kid who just wants to trip out and most likely brag to his friends that he did a gram of magic mushroom, and he, you know, so this is not who we are. Who we are is an ally, an assistant, a friend to everyone's personal journey. We take the time to educate. This is why when you purchase our products, it comes with an intention card to make sure that you are staying on track and in line with what it is that you really want to work through. And we also, of course, have like proper scheduling. And there is somebody on the other end when you message us that will work with you throughout your whole journey of healing. It's like you have any types of questions, we are there. We are your pocket therapist, I guess, if you could call it that way. So you have a friend on the other side of connecting with us, and we remember every single clients who messages us, and we literally, yeah, we're here with you along the whole way. And you know, all we can hope for and wish for is not for you to stay on our products, it's for you to heal and eventually get going. You know, like we are not our model is not to be a pharmaceutical company where you just keep being on the same pharmaceutical to like enslave you to it. No, we're here because we want you to just heal and eventually just be completely tapered off from it.
Good, that was my question. How long may a person ingest the medicine for?
So in terms of the ingestions, it all depends on like what it is that you're looking for. In this case, of course, I'm going to talk about microdosing, but we also are going to get into macrodosing as well. So for microdosing, we so far have created 3 different blends. The first one is Light Bright. And Light Bright basically consists of having passion flower, CBD, ashwagandha. And these are all basically cortisol reducers, like stress releasers. It's to relieve stress. And of course, mixed with psilocybin, now it's just I'm gonna call it like a mood enhancer. It just allows you to ground yourself. Well, actually, personally today, I'm on Light Bright. On gray days, I've got moods of like a little bit of like that, you know, lack of vitamin D sun. Mm-hmm. Light Bright always like literally just puts me into like a super perky mode. Something cool that most people or only some people figure out is that all of these blends are actually based on games. Light Bright was a game where you just used to insert like these little pins into like a light board. And then the other one we have is Connect 4. Connect 4. Connect 4 as in like the brains. So your brain has basically 4 parts. And do any of you know Paul Stamets?
Yes.
He's a very famous mycologist who has devoted his life to studying mushrooms, any kind of mushroom. He's called a mushroom man. He even wears a mushroom hat. And Paul Stamets discovered that lion's mane, a regular mushroom, and niacin, which is vitamin B3, those two combined together, and the synergy of it actually helps you with brain health, with like neurogenesis, essentially. And it just makes your receptors work faster synapse. Now, mixing that with psilocybin increases basically the neurogenesis, like your brain health. Wow, so it's a beautiful, beautiful blend. And then Viewmaster is the one that we have for focus, basically. So in this one, there's cacao, and there's ginkgo biloba, thank you. There's red ginseng. So these are basically just, it helps you to like have better strength and focus. Especially with cacao, right? Cacao is like an uplifter, and so it allows you to have like great focus. A lot of our clients who work in the 9-to-5 grind at the office, they particularly love this one. It keeps them like in the flow, basically. A lot of our artists also use these, like any people who are doing sculpting, painting, and whatnot. And not only we have 3 different blends. We also have 3 different dosage. So we have 50 milligrams, 100, and 150. So for those who are just Kickstarters, it's always better to start low and slow. 50 milligrams, I'm personally going to say you're basically not even going to feel anything, which maybe sometimes is going to make you doubt. It's like, am I even feeling anything? So hence that's why I particularly find 100 milligrams like the perfect average dose. And the other thing too is microdosing is about you being in your everyday life, keeping to do your everyday things, picking up your kid at school or,
cooking dinner.
Yeah,
all the time.
Exactly, absolutely. So it's not here to make you trip, it's here to be your ally for your everyday life, where basically it works in synergy with whatever it is that you want to do, being that you want to go teach, or do you want to go do a yoga class, or you want to go to a therapy session with a therapist. I mean, it can be used in any shape and form, really. And again, I'm going to say intention is extremely important. So prior to taking the medicine, I personally do it right after breakfast. So I like to have like a nice breakfast in my body, and then I take in the medicine. And when I take in the medicine, I hold the pill like super close to my heart. Like, my intention today is to have an amazing day with my partner, to be super compassionate about all the human beings, and be like the best human being I can be. It can be something as just simple as just having fun. It doesn't have to be, hey, today I really want to heal trauma. Like, sure, it totally can be, but it can be something as lighthearted as just like, I just want to have fun and go to Wonderland per se. The other thing too that we have is chocolates. Chocolate makes it super easy to consume mushroom. I'm just gonna show of hands, like, has anyone here in this room done mushrooms, like dried mushrooms? Okay, awesome. I mean, perhaps you can attest to it, dried mushroom does have a pretty weird taste, right? Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a weird taste. And because, I mean, it's the psilocybin. The psilocybin is the chemical that is in, so there's over 200 kinds of magic mushroom in the world. And we're still discovering more and more. Some are very light to the like super potent one. The most powerful mushroom is the Amanita muscaria, which is...
That's the Amanita.
Yeah, thank you.
The red and white one.
Yes, that's the Santa Claus one. Yeah.
Good job. Saw you this on Monday.
Yo. So the funny thing is that Santa Claus is a shaman. Yeah.
The reindeers.
Yeah. So the story behind that, actually, it's a true story. So in the north of Russia, basically these mushrooms grow, like the Amanita muscaria, like the red and polka dot white. And basically the shaman, Santa Claus, goes around, and these reindeers basically are utilized to go sniffing these mushrooms. And the reason why, you know, they kind of go crazy is because they eventually not only sniff them, but they eat them, hence Prancer and Dancer. Yes. Yeah. And now basically what the shaman does is that when he forges the mushroom and he collects them, he personally eats them, and then he urinates the mushrooms, and now in urine form. And the participant actually are basically drinking his urine. That's how potent. He has to drink it and basically absorb the psilocybin in his body, convert it into psilocin. So actually when we're tripping, it's not psilocybin that's making us trip. Our digestive system basically converts the psilocybin into psilocin. And that's the like uneasy feeling that you have when you're eating dried mushroom. Like, yeah. And I can give you a super good trick if you do plan on eating dried mushroom at some point to like ease your life and not have that uncomfortable feeling. But to say how potent this mushroom is, they can reuse it up to 3 times. So that means that they can urinate and re-drink it up to 3 times. That's how potent that mushroom is, yes.
Is that why you pee a lot when you're kind of tripping?
So when your mushrooms, yes indeed, are meant to make you purge. Yeah, there's definitely like a purging effect to it. Not only, of course, you're purging emotions, but of course, physically, you're also purging. Yeah. Not as crazy as ayahuasca, but yeah. It's definitely, it's the medicine that is meant for you to purge, to let go.
Sorry, the bags there, are they tea blends or are they put into capsules?
They're put into vegan capsules.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, everything is organic. Even our packages is biodegradable. And the cacao actually is harvested from Guatemala, from a tribe of women. So one of our colleagues actually went all the way to Guatemala and stayed with these beautiful, wonderful tribe of indigenous women who basically collects the cacao and process it to make it these like huge like bricks of cacao. And they also harvest magic mushroom. Super cool. So it's fair trade. And we have a beautiful relationship with them. And our matcha, of course, comes from Japan, ceremonial matcha, non-GMO, naturally. And for the holidays, we just came up with a super new cool one, salted caramel. I only have 1 pack, but I'm more than happy to share a square with each and every one of you before you leave. I can give it to you in a little baggie. It's super delicious. All right, let me just run through my notes to make sure that I've got everything covered. So one of the most important things when doing psychedelics, even if it's micro or macro, it's harm reduction. You know, part of harm reduction is making sure that everything is properly set for you to have like a nice flowy day. You know, if you're taking the medicine and you know that you're going through some kind of like hard emotion today, clearly it's going to get enhanced. It's going to get amplified. So I guess I'm going to talk about it from like a macro level, and then we can just bring it down to like, you know, utilizing this protocol to like a micro level. But clearly, if you're planning on doing a macro dose and you know that you got to pick up your kids at 4 o'clock and you got to go do groceries, you know, probably not. When I macrodose, I like to have all my affairs taken care of. You know, I love to have, or at least as many as I can. You know, make sure that all my relationships are good. They're in good flow. Like, you know, my relationship with my family, my siblings, my friends. Because otherwise, for sure, these things are gonna come up, like 100%. 100%. You know, and I was in Amsterdam, like outside on the beaches of Amsterdam, like in Bloomingdale. It's like an hour outside. I bought truffles. So in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, magic mushroom is legal. However, you have to buy the truffles. The truffle is the fruit of the mushroom. So in order to trip hard, you need to eat twice as much. So in order to eat what you would normally eat in dried mushroom for 2 grams, you need to eat 4 grams in terms of truffle. And of course, as an advanced psychonaut, I bought the most extravagant 5 stars on everything, like, you know, visions, whatever. And at the time, I was going for a rough patch with one of my sisters. Oh my God, my whole trip was just a rough patch with my sister. And I clearly should have known it. So it was not rainbows and unicorns on the beach. It was like, oh my God, I'm such a bad person. But it was exactly what I needed. And that's the most important thing that we have to realize, is that there's a bad connotation about a bad trip. A bad trip is not a bad trip. A bad trip is a hard trip. If you didn't, like, set and setting is extremely important. If you're doing mushrooms with a bunch of people at a party and you're drinking alcohol, that's not the proper setting. And hence, if you're gonna have a bad trip, like, yes, clearly you set yourself up for a bad trip in the sense that it was a hard trip, because now you're taking on other people's energies. You're taking on other people's, like, traumas and difficulties that they're going through. So hence, in this field, we always say set and setting is extremely important. Like, where the environment that you're in, the people that you're choosing to be around, and the mindset that you're in. Those are huge contributing factors that is going to allow you to basically have a beautiful trip. And the other thing too that's important during these trips is that it's important to just allow yourself to have whatever that wants to come up, any thoughts, any emotions. That's why I love to have a trip journal. Every time that I do any types of trips, either that it's micro or macro, like a journal, I just write down, today, thought about my cat. Oh, this came up from like 10 years ago. Actually, I did mushrooms yesterday. I went for this crazy RMT session. This guy is I'm gonna call it an underground RMT. He allows you to take any types of medicine while you're being massaged.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I do that too.
So basically, I was on a gram of chocolate mushroom, and I also did some ketamine, and and it allowed me to dive very deep and heal some wounds that I didn't even know I had when I was in high school. And the funny thing is, it was like a high school student friend that sent me a picture on through Facebook Messenger, who I haven't spoken to in like 20 years. And had he not sent me that picture, it would have never triggered that. But then it made me realize, like, oh my God, this is who I used to be, this 15-year-old kid who was very turbulent. And it made me appreciate now, like, the path and the journey that I've been on, like the healing process, and like who I was back then is definitely not the person who's in front of the camera right now in front of you. And I'm super proud of who I've become, and I fucking love myself and who I've become. Thank you. And doing this type of work takes a lot of balls. I'll definitely touch the parts about illegality. Yes, of course, magic mushroom right now, at the present time, is illegal for recreational use, if you can call it that way. Wonderfully enough, Health Canada, back in August of 2020, the health minister allowed now the use of psilocybin to do end-of-life cancer patient care. So because of that, it has opened the floodgates for the cops to no longer look for, and do drug busts about mushrooms. They just don't care. And the other cool thing too is, for the last 2 years, there's been a lot of companies, like pharmaceutical companies, who are now doing research so that they can be ready when it's going to be legalized. A company like MindMed, actually, they're based in BC. Deepak Chopra is the spokesperson for this company. So just at least, if it can give you some kind of reassurance that, yes, we are now gearing and going towards psychedelic therapy. The other cool thing to share with you guys is that sometime at the beginning of 2022, there's going to be a wing, part of UHN, of the hospitals in Toronto, for part of U of T. They're opening a psychedelic therapy wing, basically.
And I hope they keep the government out of it, because I don't trust the government. Just had to say that.
Yeah.
Just had to say that.
So it's funded by the 𝘮𝘮 Foundation, and they're doing research with DMT. But at CAMH, at the present time, they are basically utilizing ketamine therapy, MDMA therapy, and psilocybin therapy. but of course it's given to like specific cases. So we're already there. You know, we're just pushing through right now. We're basically at where cannabis was before cannabis got big. But because it's psychedelics, it's gonna have to be a lot more. I don't like to use the word regulated, but of course people are gonna have to utilize this medicine in a lot more conscious way. Yeah, definitely. What else did I have to you guys? My gosh. I spent the whole
That's
night.
why the time is coming now, because people are awakening.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
more people are becoming conscious of like using
Yeah.
it in a medicine way rather than like let's just trip out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So in terms of microdosing, there's we suggest and recommend 3 types of schedules. There's the first schedule, which is Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday, literally like every day. A lot of our clients who are like the 9 to 5 work, especially a lot of the like visual artists, they love just going straight on Monday to Friday, take a microdose pill, intention, and just start drawing all day long. There's the one that I particularly use is every second day. So I do it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then I give myself the weekend off. And then you can also do it every second day. So, you know, Monday, Thursday, it's like basically leave the 2-day off. Every time that you do any psychedelics, there's something what we call the afterglow. The afterglow is like that feeling that you're feeling like, wow, like I've seen a lot has come through, and it gives you time to integrate. Integration is unbelievably important. Like, half of the journey of doing this medicine is doing the medicine, but the other half is integration. What are you going to do with what came through for you? Yeah. So now, and how are you going to integrate that? So
Can I see that for a second?
of course. So also part of having a trip journal, I have an integration workbook. Integration basically follows under 6 categories: mental and intellect, relationships, mind, body, environmental, spiritual, and lifestyle. You know, so through the trip, maybe something came up like, hey, I want to eat healthier, or I have a relationship that's like super toxic right now. Like, why am I keeping this relationship? Or maybe you want to move out or have a new job. So these things are going to come through like the medicine journey, no matter how small you might take the medicine. So it's important now to recognize it and bring the awareness towards yourself and mindfully gear it so that it synergizes with what came through. Hence integration. It's like, what are you going to do after like these lessons that's come up for you? Very, very important. Does anybody have questions?
Well, I've been practicing and things did come up because the household was not in order, as you mentioned, as far as relationships go.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of not grounding stuff going on, so I had a little bit of a hissy fit. Then I had to send myself to my room and really deal with what was coming up, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm microdosing. This is coming up. And so I took it on myself to say, okay, you need to sit in your room and write down what's really the situation. And then, of course, that was really beautiful because I realized I had to forgive myself.
Oh, I noted that.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing, Teresa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? So I guess what I can ask you is, has anyone ever microdosed in this room or just macrodose? Okay, so you have microdose. And what
Just
are
exploring.
just exploring? And how are you consuming it? Are you like grinding it down, just eating a piece of a stem?
Capsules.
Capsules? So you're making your own capsules?
But I only take half a capsule and I put it in my tea.
Okay.
And
My
I'm doing my
question is-
journaling
Yeah.
Where are you getting your capsules from?
from the Sentinel out in BC.
Yeah. The other thing too that I should speak about is like medical conditions. You know, maybe you're on some types of medication and there can be it can be contraindicative,
Sure.
especially with SSRIs, antidepressant or SNRIs,
Yeah.
basically. So there actually is a really good website. If you ever, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your personal physician about wanting to do psychedelics, you can actually go to pubmed.gov, so PUBMED.gov. And PubMed.gov, you can literally write I'm on the lithium and I want to try MDMA, and there's gonna be basically like research study about like this sort of thing. Yeah, mixing. If you're planning on mixing different types of medicine, like MDMA with whatnot, there's another super cool website called tripsit.me, so TRIPSIT.me. Tripsit.me is a website where like you can literally just type, I'm planning on doing MDMA and I'm planning on doing acid and I'm planning on doing mushroom, and it will give you a chart about if it's a good idea or a bad idea or like how you should proceed actually. Because of course I know what, you know, this is a very sort of taboo kind of thing and you don't really know who to talk to. Of course, you're more than welcome to message us. We're more than happy to, I mean, I have given my body to science many times. Yeah, so yes.
Is it good? Have you done MDMA and mushrooms in the same?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is an order to follow though.
Okay.
I would probably do basically mushrooms first, and then after that MDMA right after. If you're planning on macrodosing, so if you're planning on macrodosing dried mushroom, which is a common thing, it's to please don't be a psychedelic dog. One of the easiest trick that a shaman taught me actually. So what you want to do prior to do it is actually grab some orange juice, some lime, some lemon, some ginger, and some turmeric. Just grind it all up and make yourself like a booster juice, like a little shot of it. This way it will just alkaline your stomach, so then you'll be able to absorb the medicine a lot faster. Mm-hmm. And you will also, you won't need as much medicine as well. It's like, you know, normally 2 grams is about like the average dose, but because you're just gonna alkaline your stomach, you get 1.5 grams, maybe even a gram will feel just as potent as 2 grams.
So that was ginger, lime, lemon,
turmeric.
turmeric.
Yeah, and the other cool thing to do is to actually stuff your dried mushroom in either dried dates or dried plums. And the reason why, 2 things. A, the dried dates or dried plums are gonna overcome the taste of the actual dried mushrooms. So for those who would like, but the other thing too is that your blood sugar level goes down when you're processing the psilocybin into psilocin. So now that you have sugar that from the plums or from the dates, it's going to support basically that drop. So you're not going to feel that discomfort. Yeah. So this is the hack.
That's the trick.
So
that's the ultimate hack.
That will help with the uneasy feeling?
Correct. Yeah. Doing those 2 things is going to basically make you slide through the journey more seamlessly.
That was dates and plums.
Or dried plums, yeah. Personally, dried dates is my favorite. Yeah, better taste as well. Yeah, and in terms of synergies with like different types of medicine, yes, I would say that always do the psychedelic first, and then after that do the MDMA afterwards. Yes.
Sorry, I'll wait until you're done.
No, go ahead.
I was just curious, is psilocybin the only plant medicine that you sell, or are there other entities that you sell?
For the present moment, we're only doing psilocybin. I mean, you know, our personal take is like be really good at something as opposed to like just selling, you know, there's a lot of websites that are selling literally like DMT and whatnot. I'm like, oh my God, like, and this is not who we are. We prefer to grow organically and slowly and also work with our community as well. And, you know, we get feedback from our clients and we hear from them, we ask them, we poll them, you know, so we work with our community and we see, you know, we adapt and adjust with the community because we're here for humanity. We're here for all humans. We're not just here to make some cash. So yeah, that's one of the important things. We were allowed to share a beautiful story actually that I'd love to share with you. It's about, you know, I'm just gonna read it to you and then we'll dive deeper into it. So the subject line is called Lost Son. So it starts with, every parent wants the best for their children, to see them happy and thriving. My son was born struggling. He struggled getting through a school day, struggled getting along with others, struggled finding something that he loved or even liked enough to stick with. After his father moved out when he was 9 years old, something broke in him. He replaced struggling with apathy. I haven't seen my son happy since he was a boy. He tells me he is no longer that kid and has given up hope forever living a normal life. I cannot accept this, so I search for both of us. My son has been diagnosed with ADHD, ODD, anxiety, depression, and most likely suffers from BPD. He started self-medicating daily with marijuana from 14 after the antidepressants and antipsychotics proved to be ineffective, and in fact resulted in numerous emergency room stays due to suicide attempts. He dropped out of school in grade 10 and was completely unmanageable at home. Through it, all I look for answers in the mainstream, psychiatrists, psychologists, CAMH programs, nothing worked. Just before his 20th birthday, I was introduced to Cerro through a friend who suggested microdosing psilocybin. I was skeptical as a relatively conservative person who never personally dabbled in psychedelics myself, but I was desperate enough to try anything. After just 2 doses, he told me he could barely feel the effects of his ADHD and was sleeping through the night. You have to understand, for the last 6 years, my son spends most of his days in my basement escaping the world only to come out for his part-time job to support his constant pot use. No real plan for his life other than to make it through the day. It has been 2 months of microdosing 100 milligrams of light bright every other day, and since then he has moved out on his own, is actively looking for full-time work, and for the first time since he was a boy, he talks about the future.
In 2 months?
I'm a high school teacher, and I work with many kids similar to my son, and I think that it is criminal that it is not made available to them. Imagine all the kids who suffer needlessly or heartbreakingly don't even try to make it. If you were to ask me what I want the most in life, it would be to see my son happy and thriving. We now both know that it is now possible. So thank you, Cerro.
Wow. Beautiful.
So I was the one who introduced this high school teacher, and I'm like, look, I personally know that they've done a lot of research, to taper down antidepressant. So the other thing too, probably talking about antidepressant, is that if any one of you or knows anyone who plan on doing this, so the ideal thing is that yes, you can do psychedelics with antidepressant, but of course the antidepressant will mute a little bit the psychedelics. So sometimes you kind of have to do maybe a little bit more. So the first thing to do is, if you're planning to do this for anyone who's new, is to pick a day where you have nothing. Maybe a Saturday or Sunday. You do the medicine and you just study yourself. Study how you're going to react to the medicine and how you feel about it. And then after that, you just slowly work on your own regiment of schedules and whatnot. And for those who are, yes, indeed, using SSRIs or SNRIs, antidepressant, now it's really to take the time to, most of our clients do it together, and then they just see how they feel. But it is different for everyone. Every bodies are different. But we do have a lot of cases that basically they've tapered off from the antidepressant. So eventually doing the antidepressant with the psilocybin together, they basically taper off from the antidepressant slowly, completely, and then start utilizing the psilocybin only, and then eventually just being off completely.
And that's the plan,
That is the plan, yeah.
Whereas pharmaceuticals are forever and the side effects are harmful.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, to reiterate, now each package, what would you recommend for each person? So, for instance, each one is different intention, different needs. So what are the needs again for each?
So basically, Light Bright is just, I'm gonna call it a mood enhancer. Not that the medicine enhances your mood, but the medicine really helps you. This is probably by far the best one in terms of helping with depression and anxiety. And that's why I love to use it on grade A's when there's not enough vitamin D. 𝘮𝑕4 is great for like neurogenesis. So basically like rework your brain health. It basically helps you with like the neural connectivity so that your brain synapse faster, basically. And Viewmaster is a blend for focusing if like you're planning on, actually a lot of people work out on Viewmaster or they go for like a hike and it just gives them that like extra connectivity with Mother Nature. And at the same time gives them that like little extra energy. We are though working on a blend specifically for sports use right now as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you recommend like having maybe all of them and like, because you're saying on a day like this you would use light bright and
You can totally stack as well.
Yeah.
Like I mean, some days I stack light bright with 𝘮𝑕4 or 𝘮𝑕4 with Viewmaster. Absolutely.
When you say stack, does that mean take them at the same time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you can totally stack as well. For those of you who like to drink coffee or tea with caffeine, it would be important. Like the medicine does work, but you do have to just make sure to really take time to be aware that you're drinking a stimulant, so you're kind of like peaking, and then after that you're bringing in the medicine. So probably to kind of leave like a little bit of time in between, just to like wear off the stimulant, the caffeine.
Yeah, I'm really sensitive to that. I notice such a huge.
Yeah.
It's like too much.
Exactly. Like you're basically like not that psilocybin is like a downer, but like you're on an upper, and then the other one is just kind of like trying to ground you. So yeah, it would be important just to be observant of it, to know that. Yeah. Any other questions?
Price.
Okay. Well, to start with, for those of you who are here today, we're gonna give you a 15% code that you can use at any time moving on in the future. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So the code is It's Magic, like literally ITSMAGIC. And but for those of you who are present in this room today, though, normally the chocolate bars are 60. We're gonna discount them to 50 for you. And then the packs normally, so these are packs of 30. They're normally sold at $80, and we're gonna sell them to you for 70 today. Yeah. In terms of the chocolate bars, they're 3.5 grams of mushroom in it. You can definitely macrodose on a whole chocolate bar. I've done it. I've eaten the whole chocolate bar and basically went out to a cottage and went for a super crazy hike. And that was beautiful. And of course, I met aliens and angels. So that was beautiful. But I guess probably being mindful, if you're just microdosing the chocolate, probably break the square. So each square is 250 milligrams. So maybe just break it in two and make it 125 milligram. 250, I'm going to safely say you're starting to feel a little bit of a something. Yeah.
And then the capsules in those ones are 100?
Yeah, so today I brought the 100. I do have a few packs of the 150 for those who want to dive a little bit deeper. But I do find that 100 is definitely the most best average dosage. You're not overfeeling, but not underfeeling. Yeah.
And that's 100 milligrams?
Correct. Yeah.
And at what point, how many milligrams, I guess, can you still drive?
Oh, I mean, I've driven on 100 milligrams easily. I've driven on 200 milligrams. But what it's good to do is just wait for the onset to wear off first. So there's the onset, and then once you have that plateau of okay, this is the feeling that I'm going to be having. So because you are going in what we call a sub-hallucinogenic state, but it's not going to give you distortion, visual distortion. Yeah.
I always go by less is more. You can't really reverse once you've
Exactly.
taken too much,
Yeah.
so.
Exactly. So I mean, normally, I don't get in the car right away after as soon as I've done it. I give myself at least an hour, breakfast. I have it, and then onset. Okay, this is the feeling of the day. Because based on your intention, this is how crazy it is. I've done 100 milligrams, and it literally felt like I was doing half a gram because I was on an empty stomach. Also, my intention that day, the medicine just really grabbed me by the balls and was yeah, this is what you're gonna have to work on today. So intention. Like, you know, the intention synergistically working with the medicine, it doesn't matter how little you're gonna do. Believe me, the medicine is gonna show you where you need to go. Yeah.
What was that website again? The pub.
PubMed.gov. So PUBMED.gov.
It's a great site for everything.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, again, not everybody feels comfortable talking to their physician. Like, hey, I plan on doing acids. Like, what do you think about it? Of course, it's a big no.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
even just cannabis, like.
Of course.
Yeah.
And the other, I mean, of course, there's a lot of Reddit and subreddit, but you know, this is a much more trustable source because it's like really well researched. Of course, on Reddit, you do have a lot of people who write about their own personal experiences, but sometimes you start navigating and it's like there's a little bit too much of like, hey, bro, I was doing this and I'm feeling that way. So yeah, PubMed.
I liked that voice.
Well, I have been that kid one day, you know, like, oh my god, I did 4 grams of mushroom yesterday. Yeah. Yes.
What's that little voice in your head that is telling you to like do?
Your subconscious?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
kind of like louder when you're on it.
correct. So the other thing too, a great question. What psychedelics does is that it basically shuts off your default program mode. So every single human being has an iOS, like a software system. This is your hardware, this is your software. So psychedelics basically shuts off your software, like your ego, and it allows you to be in the present. So now being in the present, now you don't have to think about the grocery shopping, cooking for your kids, picking them up at 4 o'clock from school. So now you're remaining present, and now it allows you to work on like, maybe I should call my mom, you know, we left it on really bad terms and whatnot. So yes, that's exactly what is happening, is that it switches off the default program mode.
So
that's
consciousness.
your consciousness is being louder because you can
Correct,
like hear it.
yeah. Your subconscious.
Subconscious.
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, as a yogi, your voice in your head is your consciousness. You are conscious.
Yeah.
There's no other voice in your head. It's only you. It's just you. I know.
And it just becomes louder with the help of the medicine.
Yeah, the medicine is just now putting you forward, face forward against the mirror about what you need to do, basically. Yeah. And it can get ugly. You know, I think it's important to always walk into it knowing that you're going to be doing what we call shadow work, which is to work through your shadows. But always remember that your shadows are your allies. You know, without them, you know, you wouldn't be who you are today. And love your shadows. You know, like just like be thankful for these shadows, because I mean, you could be an angel just like Nicolas Cage, and you know, right? You could be just like a Nicolas Cage and just like never feeling what it is to be human. So, you know, part of being human is feeling. You know, there is no good or bad. It's just experience. Yeah. You know, everything is a teacher, especially the hard lessons. So, you know, I think doing these medicines is like make sure that you're in a position where you welcome maybe like the negative chatter, call it that way.
lesson.
Yeah, the lessons. And instead of just punishing yourself and feeling shame and guilt, it's like self-compassion. Nurture that and go like, okay, cool, this is what I need to work on. I mean, I'm into it.
Merlin gets it.
You also have really cool socks on.
Oh, thank you.
The mushroom socks.
Well, you know, when I walk into a party, they know who they're talking to. Yes.
Have you ever dabbled in the Amanita Muscarity magic?
I have
Medicine?
I have drank from a shaman, so I can speak from experience. Yeah, definitely. It's like I have seen that urine being filtered 3 times. And urine, I mean, yeah, has anyone ever drank urine here? It's a very interesting taste. I mean, he was on a really good diet though, so. But I mean, to speak to, it was obviously done in a very ceremonial circle, clearly. It was just as profound and powerful as doing ayahuasca. You're there for, in my case, I'm 6 to 7 hours, and I was just like deep in this crazy trip, and all these different entities came to like talk to me. A lot of downloads. Yeah. I guess we can probably talk, like, we use golden teachers. Golden teachers are not only like the easiest to harvest in terms of magic mushroom, they're also the easiest to work with in terms of like medicine. They're on the lower end, they're not too powerful because you can always eat more, right? Because a lot of people in this day and age, especially the kids, like they all want to get in their hands onto like penis envy. Penis envy are like these these caps that are like super blue and they're like unbelievably potent. You only do a gram of that and you're sent to space in bits and shits. So yeah, so when you're also being mindful of the type, the strain of mushroom that you're using, like do your research. Yes.
Have that mushroom journal or the trip journal with you and track. all of your
Yeah, trip journals are great. Yeah, that's why like I have a trip journal, and it's always good to track yourself. Like, what did I eat today? What state of mind was I in? What state of heart am I in? And again, it doesn't matter what dosage you're doing. Intention, dosage, your diet, your every little bits and pieces of like how you're feeling that day that you're doing your journey, even like it's micro or macro, is important. Like all of these things placed together. Absolutely.
And can you purchase the journal like that little booklet? Can you buy one of those?
I believe you can. Yeah, there's a few companies that are making those, especially now. Especially now, like there's always, just like in the cannabis industry, they started making a lot of paraphernalia. So now they're also doing a lot of. There's something now we call it integration coach. So a lot of people are now doing trips more. And there's something what we call an integration coach to assist you actually. So for those of you who don't particularly know how to like navigate your feelings and your thoughts after doing the trip, you can actually hire an integration coach. There's even integration circles now that you can even do for like Zoom calls, and everybody gets to talk about like what they've gone through, what they've ingested, and then talking to other people in a circle allows you to it helps you basically with your integration. Yeah.
Support.
Yeah. So. Yes.
Question on the light bright. So I can be very sensitive to ashwagandha. Has there been experience with those that have that? Like as a supplement, I can't just take it as a supplement.
So it's really on the low end in terms of the ashwagandha. I would probably, if you want, I could give you a sample of it. And then you can just maybe break it down like in a half and just test it out a little bit. But I would say that we don't put a lot of ashwagandha enough to the degree that we would feel uncomfortable. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But are you gearing towards light bright for like a specific intention or?
No, just because it's kind of
like the mood enhancer,
Yeah.
as I call it.
Yeah.
From grumpy to happy?
On certain days.
Yeah. In that case,
But otherwise, I would.
you
be
can
drawn
definitely
to
just
the Connect.
you can definitely go with just Connect 4. There's not like a huge difference, but again, each bodies are different. Yeah. I've utilized the Connect 4 as well, just like as a mood enhancer, just for neurogenesis, and intention is definitely key. Man, I just remembered saying something, but it just slipped my mind. Okay.
Flow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Let me just make sure that I've covered everything, because I definitely don't want you leaving with...
This is great that there is yourself, creating wonderful opportunities for people to be guided.
That's it.
Yes.
And this is the important piece, because I really do feel that the struggle with people even just doing pharmaceuticals from their medical doctor's GP, that they fall out and then they never get better, and whereas now we have this beautiful medicine with the support, which is the new world. The new world is here right now, and this is who we are, and this is what we're doing to support our community and for the human race to be humane.
Thank you.
Just throw it in the drinking water.
You just reminded me, support. Support is
Yeah.
so important. So part of harm reduction is having support. So if you're planning on macrodosing, and you're just doing a solo journey, it's great to have at least a friend that you can just tell them like, so all of my peers, we always tell each other when we're gonna go on a solo trip. It's like, hey, I'm going on a solo trip. I'm gonna be doing 3 grams of golden teachers. I'm gonna be here. Like if you're, can you just be my lifeline in case if I need anything? So it's always good to have like a support, especially if you're planning on macrodosing. If you're already with someone and you're doing a trip together, that's awesome. Make sure that you look after each other. But in terms of macro, it's always good to have everything ready. Like have your food already cooked. Because if you're going on a long day, right? Man, I can't tell you how many times I rented a cottage when I was young, doing like a trip with friends. And then everybody forgot about like, oh shit, we gotta eat now.
Yes.
And then everyone's just coming down from the trip. No one has motricity to so yeah, cook your food ahead of time. Like,
Lots of snacks.
yeah, lots of snacks. I'm a little bit OCD about bathrooms, so clean your bathrooms. Because you have now HD vision when you're macrodosing, you're
You see some things.
you definitely see a lot of things. It's funny enough, like that's how I describe it. My partner, when she tried for the first time mushroom, and she's like, what are you gonna feel like? Have you ever wanted to have the superpowers of a vampire? She's like, what? And then I was like, everything's gonna be heightened, like your senses. You're gonna have HD vision beyond 4K. She's like, okay. And she's like, oh, I get the 4K now. So, but yeah, clearly prepare everything so that, because also if you have everything prepared, then your mind is at ease. You don't have to worry about cooking, make sure that you have your waters, your teas, everything is like settled for you to have like the chillest day to like absorb what the medicine wants to teach you. Yeah, setting. Any last questions?
Website is 𝘮𝘯𝘵.com.
Yes, so our website is 𝘮𝘮𝘮𝘁, and if you wish to connect with us, it's connect@𝘮𝘮𝘮𝘁.com. And yeah, again, just use the special code. We'll give you 15% discount with It's Magic. Anything else?
You have some here that we can buy?
Totally, I brought goodies here, and I of course will also give you some samples. Yeah.
Do you take credit?
We don't take credit. We do take EMTs, e-transfers. If you
Like DMT?
wow, DMT transfer? I don't know. Yeah, but we can definitely have a conversation about that afterwards. Yeah, if you, I'm staying here. If you want to have discussions about other medicines, off topic, I'm more than happy to share with you other knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Merlin.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Merlin.
Thanks,
So
Teresa.
stay tuned. I'll have everything posted, all the .orgs and .coms and the websites and all that. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining us. I hope you thought that was very educational because I did.
Love that.
So what other plant medicines or medicines have